Good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing well and most especially staying healthy. We've been having quite a wet winter lately. Instead of snow, we're getting a lot of rain and very violent wind. Thankfully, it has only knocked down a couple trees on our property. My name is Sheila Swanberg, and I am an avian care specialist here at the Alaska Raptor Center. We are a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the rehabilitation and research of wild birds, as well as to educating the public about our feathery friends. One of the ways we do that is by taking part in a show called Alaska Animal Rescue. This one can be found on Disney. It gives a great and dynamic view of what we do here at the center, much more in depth than the videos I do here. You can also look us up on our website, which I believe is AlaskaRaptorCenter.org. My buddy with me here today is named Sophie. She is an American Kestrel that came to us in January of 2011. Throughout part of the year, mainly during summertime, as one of our ambassador birds, she spends her time outside in what we call the hoot hut. She is a delight to all of our visitors. This time of year, it's a bit too cold for her outside, so instead we give her an enclosure inside. Being an imprint, she definitely appreciates all the extra attention she gets from the office staff. Do you want a meal right? No? What a good girl. So today I'm going to be talking about something birds are very well known for, and that is nests. While there are some birds who use nests and burrows to make it through cold nights, the nests provide an area for a parent bird to protect and care for their eggs and their offspring. Many nests are lined with soft material that provides cushioning for the eggs and young. These material can be stuff like grass or other vegetation, hair, or other clothing fibers that they might find. Many parents will also pluck the feathers out of their lower abdominal area and add those to the nest. The bare patch of skin that plucking creates is called a brood patch. And when a parent is incubating the eggs, that patch is in direct contact with the eggs to as possible. Most nests have some degree of flexibility so that as the young get bigger, they don't collapse underneath them. They shade and shield the chicks from weather. Most of the time, that is due to the parents being very careful in the location they choose under a tree or an overhang. However, some parents will actually make nests that have roofs included to protect them from the weather. Nesting location is also very important for camouflage. Eggs and chicks tend to be very vulnerable, so it is super important for them to blend into the surrounding area for that safety it offers to them. There are, of course, some birds who don't create nests at all. Emperor and king penguins, they don't really have materials available to them in order to create nests. Instead, they lay their eggs on open land and then use their feet to keep it warm. Nest parasites such as common cuckoos and cowbirds don't create nests of their own, but they will lay their eggs in the homes of their host species. For the birds that do make nests, there is a great variety in the type of structures that they use. The shape of a nest is influenced by many things. It can be influenced by the resources that are available, the threats that are present that are a danger to their young, and of course, sexually selected displays. Sometimes both parents take part in making the nest. Other times it's just one of the parents doing all the work. It definitely varies from species to species. So the first type of nest I'm going to talk about is the most simple. It is basically called a scrape nest, and it is just a shallow depression on the ground sometimes with a rim of vegetation, small rocks, and feathers around it. Other times it has nothing at all. These nests provide very little protection for the young, so the parent who's with the eggs has to be constantly vigilant. A lot of birds who use this are ducks, shorebirds, ostriches, pheasants, quails, and some falcons. Another nest that is on the ground are called mound nests. These are created by piles of soil, branches, twigs, and leaves, and then the eggs are laid within them. Sort of like compost heaps, as these mounds decay, they generate a lot of heat. So instead of having to incubate the eggs themselves, the parent bird has to be very vigilant of the temperature of the mound. If it's too cold, they can add a bunch more material to generate more heat. But if it gets too warm, they have to take off part of the top in order to vent excess heat so the egg doesn't cook, essentially. Some birds who use these are brush turkeys, scrub fowl, and Malay turkey. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that last one right. Or no, Malay fowl, not turkey. All right. Another nest that is a little bit more elaborate than mounds and scrapes, but still on the ground, is called a burrow nest. These are typically a short tunnel leading to a wider chamber where the egg is housed. This burrow tunnel or burrow nest provides shelter for the eggs, the young, and even for the parents that are taking care of them. Most burrow nesters will excavate their own burrows and do all the work themselves, but there are some who prefer to steal from other animals, such as the burrowing owl, who likes to steal the homes from prairie dogs, and of course eat the prairie dog young. Many seabirds use this type to protect their young from the elements and the very violent weather that the coast can sometimes bring in. Puffins, shearwaters, kingfishers, and crab plovers are some of the examples of birds that use these nests. Now, cavity nests are similar, but they're usually a chamber in a living or dead tree, tree fern, cacti, or a telephone pole. Not many birds are able to make their own cavities. That tends to be very hard for them to do, as wood is kind of a tough material to get through. So the ones that make their own are woodpeckers, sapsuckers, and barbets. Other cavity nesters use natural hollows that they find or that they steal from woodpeckers and sapsuckers. Cavity nesters can typically be enticed to use bird boxes or bird houses that people have around their property. Such birds can include chickadees, nuthatches, some wrens, kestrels, like her, and many, many species of owls. Now, cup nests are what people typically think of when they think of nests. It's the bowl or cup-shaped structure that is smooth on the inside with a very deep depression where the eggs are deposited. Most of them are made of grass, twigs, and in the case of some hummingbirds, spider silk. These nests tend to be very pliable, able to accommodate the hatchlings as they grow so they don't fall off the tree. Sometimes they're made out of mud or saliva, so they are sticky enough to stay on the trees even in bad weather. Swifts, swallows, hummingbirds, and warblers are known for making these nests. And in fact, the smallest bird nest in the world is made by the bee hummingbird. I have a photo here that, if I can get it up, will show you what it looks like. The coin beside it kind of does it justice to show you exactly how small this nest is. The eggs are even smaller. All right. Moving on to platform nests. Platform nests are large structures, usually bigger than the bird that creates them. They can be on the ground or elevated, and they typically are reused year by year. So every year during breeding season, the parents will add new materials on them, making the nest very heavy to the point where during poor weather it can structurally damage the tree to the point where the tree could fall down. The biggest platform nest in the world that was recorded was created by 2 bald eagles in Florida, and it was estimated to weigh around 2 tons. And I'm sorry, our printer kind of It tried to print it off, but you can kind of see how huge this replica of that nest was. All right, besides eagles, some other birds who create platform nests are hawks, osprey, egrets, and storks. Now the next are pendant nests, which are elongated sacks made from grass and plant fibers suspended from branches. One pendant nest alone usually just looks like a pendant, so that's why they're called that. Social weavers make some of the most elaborate pendant nests that have ever been seen. They kind of look like haystacks inside the trees. Now, these are made by groups of weavers working together to, over the years, create a huge structure that houses many pairs of birds and kind of gives the entire mob a place of safety where they can raise their young. The only problem is sometimes there's empty nesting chambers where predators can camp out and then feed on the baby weavers as they come out. I guess fledgling weavers, I shouldn't say babies. They're not really babies. All right, sphere nests are roundish structures enclosed except for a very small opening. These kind of nests are usually found on grassland areas very low to the ground, and they are susceptible to predators, so the fact that they have such a tiny opening is kind of a strategy to keep the young safe. Most of the time, the birds are the ones making their own nest, but occasionally humans will step in to help if they want to conserve a certain species or to facilitate backyard birding. Artificial nests, such as nest boxes, are a great tool for conserving certain species that might be threatened or losing habitat to unknown reasons. Typically, the birds that are willing to use artificial nests are cavity nesters because the structures mimic natural cavities. Which brings me back to Sophie. Yeah, you want a mealworm? Yeah, because you're a good girl. So originally, Sophie came to us after being found by a group of students from the University of Washington, who were doing a banding study on kestrels. For that study, they had created a bunch of nesting boxes and monitored them. And then when the young kestrels emerged, they would take them out and band them so they could study them later. In Sophie's case, when they removed her from the nest box, they noticed that she has a couple deformities. On her right foot, she has a spare halix, that's the back talon, so it makes it very difficult for her to properly grip prey. Oh, sorry, it curled up on me. Her wings also are a little bit deformed. They're a bit too short, so she cannot extend properly. Now, American kestrels are some of the most common raptors in North America, but their population has been going through a slow and steady decline. There has been some speculation that their decline is due to a perfect storm of factors. Basically, less food and exposure to pesticides, as well as predation by hawks, and a loss of habitat that means fewer nest sites are kind of all contributing to their decline. But it is hard to say what the exact cause is. We're running out of mealworms. All right. Efforts to conserve the American kestrel have prompted nest box and monitoring projects all over North America. All right. Now, I think I've talked your guys' ears off just enough, and now if we have any more questions, we can get started with those. And you can have more food, I promise.
First question we got from the audience was asking what a cowbird is.
A cowbird is a nest parasite. I don't think they're in North America. They're more in Europe areas, but basically they don't like to take care of their own young, so instead they go put their nest in another bird's nest, and basically that other bird is forced to take care of their young.
I am going to try to move our camera a little bit closer.
Ooh. So we can see her deformities.
So we can see her if you want to grab
absolutely.
this.
Hi.
And just a little bit back from that.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, you want another piece of mouse? Here you go. Yeah. Oh, careful.
You can probably get a little close to her foot or move it. Yeah, right there. You can point that out.
You guys can See the extra toe down here? I know, there's no food there. There's just a little bit of hair. You're so cute. Yeah, you are. But yeah, that extra toe on her foot just kind of makes it very hard for her to grip things properly. Even when she's on our glove, she sometimes falls off just because it's really hard for her to grab with that hand. Oh.
Doing it up a little bit. Yeah, right there.
Perfect.
I'm going to switch it back to this other one.
Okay. Do you want me to put this one down then, or
Go
leave
ahead.
it? Okay.
And then do bowerbirds really make those large nests?
Bowerbirds have some really interesting structures that they make. The males will make this kind of triangular bower that it's very elaborate. They use all sorts of stuff, including random bits of stuff they get from humans, such as colorful pen caps or other colorful objects. However, the bowers themselves are not nests. So the males make the bowers to impress all the females, but once the mating is done, they take no part in caring for the young, and the females themselves make a little shallow cup, I guess, kind of saucer nest instead.
How do hawk nests compare to eagle nests?
How do hawk nests compare to eagle nests? They both make platform nests. Hawk nests tend to be a little bit smaller. However, eagles will steal hawk nests, and if there's an abandoned eagle's nest, a hawk will use that if they find it.
Someone asked, what's the strangest item found in an eagle's nest?
Ooh. What's the strangest item found in an eagle's nest?
That hawk?
Oh, yes, that's true. So, speaking of nests being stolen, so a pair of eagles stole the nest from a hawk, and then the hawk's egg hatched. So the strangest item found in a eagle's nest was a hawk that they were willingly raising and treating like a baby eagle. Okay, sorry.
Let's see, where was it? Is the kestrel tame?
Is the kestrel tame? Sophie is what's called an imprint. So she thinks she's a person. She thinks we're her own species. She tolerates us, but she definitely is very opinionated. She doesn't want to hang out with us. So she basically is willing to work with us because we give her food. It's okay. It's okay. I got you. I got you.
Do you want to explain this odd behavior you see her doing?
So right now what Sophie's doing is mantling because the piece of food I gave her is too big. So she's trying to spread her wings and do you want to just be on the ground? Mm-hmm. So she's trying to spread her wings and guard her food, but her wings don't open all the way. It does not look correct the way a bird normally would do it. Are you okay? You got that food? Here. Will a mealworm make you feel better? There you go. Okay.
Someone said the quote-unquote tameness or trainedness of Sophie sounds like a cat.
Yes, actually, that is a very good explanation for it. Sophie is very much like a cat in that she only deals with us when she wants to.
Is Sophie's favorite food mouse?
Sophie actually really loves mealworms and the underdeveloped yolks that we sometimes get when we gut the quail we use to feed our birds. So she likes underdeveloped eggs and mealworms. We've tried to give her earthworms, but I think they're a little bit too bitter for her. She didn't really enjoy them. But she will regularly eat mice and chicken and quail.
Let's keep it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
She's hiding really well.
She is. That's what she's good at. Has to guard her food from everybody who might try and steal it.
Do any of our birds here at the center try to build nests?
Yes. Usually during breeding season, we have a couple birds who will start picking up sticks. They'll kind of select a little perch in their enclosure. We actually have a huge back habitat for our bald eagles that can't fly. And one of them, named Sunset, every year creates a huge mound that she tries to make into a nest by just collecting any stick she can and working on it until it looks like a nest.
Going back to the hawk and the eagle, normally would an eagle kill a newborn hawk or try to raise it as their own?
Normally, yes. A bald eagle would kill a young bird and be like, hey, that's just food. However, since it started as an egg, the female's instinct probably took over and made it think, oh, it's an egg, I hatched it, it must be mine.
And then So this person says, as far as I know, there is no other diurnal raptors that use cavities, and kestrels are the only one that they know of. Is there any reason why kestrels would nest in a cavity and other diurnal raptors tend to not?
The only reason
Our Instagram got back up.
Okay, sweet.
So at least, if anyone's still here, we're still live up there.
Okay.
And so someone did ask how old Sophie is.
Okay, so I did math in my head. She's about 10 years, 9 months, so nearly 11 years at this point.
And I think that we're back on.
Okay, we're back on. Sorry, guys. As I mentioned earlier, the weather has been terrible, so internet can be a little bit wonky sometimes.
Let's say our goodbyes.
Oh, okay. So I think that is a signal from the universe that we should wrap up. So as I mentioned earlier, we are a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to helping raptors. We are on Disney Plus with Alaska Animal Rescue. Season 1 can be found there, and our website is going to be on the screen. And what else was I supposed to wrap up with? Okay, and thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry for just unloading all this information on you. I was really excited about it, and I'm sure Sophie appreciates all the love she's going to get. But we better go and get you your rest of your dinner, huh?